He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Karo taha te pō, karo taha te ao. Mārunga mai koe māraro atu au. Tūramarama nuku, tūramarama rangi. Ko rangi ki runga, ko papa ki raro. Ko Paewhiri tēnei whakapāho atu nei ki a koutou. Tūturu whakamaua kia tīna.
Tīna.
Hui e.
Tai e.
E aku raurangatira mā, nau piki mai, nau kake mai ki tēnei punua pāho o Paewhiri e rere atu nei kia koutou katoa. Nō reira, ko te mana ko ia e noho pai ana koutou, nō reira me tahuri mai ki te kaupapa kōrero o tēnei wā. Welcome to Paewhiri from Te Whare o te Tīrairaka I Tauranga Moana. Nō mātou te whiwhi, ara ki te whakarite hia I tēnei whakāturanga. Nō reira, nau mai haramai, welcome to Paewhiri, ko Justine Maria Ho.
Ko Nairo Eruera tēnei, tēnā koutou.
Te keu pātara tēnei, tēnā rā kōtou.
Kia ora, tēnā korua o tēnā tātou katoa. Right, how's the past week been for us?
Pretty full on, tuahine. Te Koroneihana tuatahi o tō Te Arikinui Kuini Nga hono I te pō. Me te taunaki nā mihi nunui roro I utaina ki runga ia I roto I te rāwā. Awesome kaupapa.
And koera te kaupapa o tēnei hōtaka, the Koroneihana. Before we get started, we're all in good vibes today.
Bit tired over here. Just got back last night, had to sprint from international to domestic to catch my flight back home to Tauranga.
Oh, ka pai.
And so how
Got
was...
there just in time to get on the plane, sweating like a puaka.
And why were you late to catch your flight, Matua, from Australia?
Delayed flight in Sydney.
Oh,
About
neat.
3/4 of an hour.
Ka pai. And good trip, good whānau kaupapa?
Yeah, it was at sister's mokopuna's wedding, her second mokopuna to get married. Pretty flash, just not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Limousines and buses to cart you around the place and real posh.
Cool.
Ka pai. Okay, Koroneihana, that's the kaupapa of this episode. So I had a full-on week with mahi. I wasn't able to go, but I did watch most of the coverage. But ngairo, I reira koe, kōrero mai hia te, e pēhea ana te Koroneihana. How was it?
Pretty full on, yeah. So many people from all different walks of life, but they're all on the kaupapa. One day that I didn't arrive at the marae at Turangawaewae was when the dignitaries came in, which was the rā after Ngā Mate o te Motu. So I sort of missed out on some of the kaupapa there in terms of being there in person, but managed to catch up on highlights and stuff and different presentations from various leaders across Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, as well as the other leadership that came through on that day. Generally speaking, the vibe at the Koroneihana, there was one of anticipation around, I guess, the direction our ariki will steer her part or her role in terms of being the figurehead for Te Kiingitanga. You could feel that the whole week because every time she was present there was a buzz.
Just the energy in the air kind of thing, or was it the kiko of the kōrero, or how did you make that kind of observation?
I think there was a mixture of a whole lot of things, but definitely when she was present on the marae or present with the people, you could feel the buzz. You could feel the... I guess there was a level of admiration within it. There was a level of respect also with the position. And because, she's so endearing and relatable to our rangatahi and her own reanga, there's a different sort of vibe there as well with our younger generations. There's a little bit of awe. There's a little bit of, I can see myself in our arikinui. So a huge amount of relatability which brought a different feel, not better, not worse, but definitely different sort of energy. Always acknowledge our kingi and the kaupapa that he drove towards the end of his time, and you could feel that that legacy was being continued, but with a new face and definitely an eye to the future.
If there's anyone that's listening to this podcast that may be thinking, they've seen the Koroneihana, but they don't quite understand, hia te kaupapa o te Koroneihana, there's a long history, but essentially the Koroneihana, the coronation. So this goes back to 1858 with Pōtatau Te Whirowhiro, 1856 at Pukawa. Kia rātou mā kāre te tino mōhio, kia ha te Koroneihana. What is it?
What do you call it? So the coronation is about the crowning of the ariki. And so it's an anniversary date. So when we get to Koroneihana tuatahi, tēnei tau, there was the first anniversary date being an ariki. And then it will happen successively, I believe, for decades to come, because, of course, our Arikinui is a young woman, and we anticipate many years of long health and, what would you call it, leadership under her reign.
So it's, I mean, there's a rich history. Just to give you an idea of that lineage, that whakapapa. Sorry, te whānau, for the brevity of these names, there are much longer names, but this is the information that I've got to hand. Tāwhiao from 1860 to 1894. Mahuta, 1894 to 1912. Te Rata from 1912 to 1933. And then the lineage is from Koroki, 1933 to 1966. Te Arikinui Te Tairangi Kāhu, 1966 to 2006. Heitia, Kiingitanga, 2006 to 2024. And of course, Te Arikinui Kuini Nga hono I te pō, 2024. It also coincided with the mate of her papa, ne?
Aye, so te rā wairua o Kiingitanga was, I think it was the week before? No. It was at the beginning of the week.
Oh, okay.
So ko te rā tērā I hingai a Kiingitanga, and then of course the period follows the mourning period of his uhunga, which was the 5-day period, and then on the last day, Te Arikinui being crowned as the new monarch. Aye.
Matua, you in Australia? I was going to say, did you watch?
Australia, yeah. I did watch it though.
Oh, yeah, man.
I watched it over on TV. It was televised all over the place. I could feel the energy with the whānau over there, just different. You know, you could feel that young, youthful energy in there. And listening to Paewhiri's Kōrero, and I think he hit it right on the head.
Ia tāna kōrero.
Well, he said, you know, he reanga hou, he whakaro hou, he waka hou, engari. Ko tōna reanga heke iho. You know, ko rātou ke te, you know, ngā rangatira ana mata. And ko tāna, he mea mai, you know, te ahuatanga mo ngā pakeke, hei tuawia, hei tuara, mōna, mō taua reanga, ngā reanga e ke mai nei. Yes, it was beautiful listening to him saying that. I could sort of read other messages just looking at his face, but it wasn't coming out.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But so yeah, I think it's all about Pakeke being supportive of this new Queenie, new Ariki, and just watching her performing in front of and with her people, you know, Te Paewhiri.
And she picked up her poi.
Oh, it was awesome. And then having her mother there right next to her, and then her brothers behind her, you could really feel the energy, eh? Yeah, it was awesome. The whole, every day was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Even listening to some of the whai kōrero of, you know, ngāui o te motu, te mōna nui a kiwa. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Ka pai. This is Paewhiri. We're going to take a small break. More kōrero up next.
Pai tū, pai hinga, Paewhiri.
Nau mai hoki mai e te whānau ki a Paewhiri, e whakapāho atu nei ki a kōtau mai I te whare o te tira I raka. Nau mai hoki mai.
Tēnā tātou. So the Koroneihana, huge week for te ao Māori. We saw the drone footage, and if you haven't yet seen any of the coverage, it was actually really stunning, from the kapahaka to the arrival of the whānau from Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. But here's a few highlights. This is from the Pai Pai.
Kei taku Arikinui Kuini Nga hono I te pō. Tēnei tō iwi Māori, me ngā whare ariki, o porini hia, e whakautu ana I te pātai, I whiua, I roto I tō tātou ngeri. He ahara he mahi morunga I te marae nei, e ko te tūi I te here tangata, e ko te hono I te ara whanaunga, e ko te tongi I o tātou mate. I roto I te kotahitanga. I raru I tō mana. Te mana Māori mo tuhake.
That is Kawariki Morgan, and thanks to the Kiingitanga for, of course, the copyright of that audio. So, talking about that new sense of renewed energy with the young people, it was beautiful listening to him. Any standout pai kōrero? Not that you want to play favourites, but any messages or that really stuck out to you?
It was actually a good session I had with my Pīnakitanga class on Monday, because they had heaps of pātai, and we were going in to talk. Part of our wānanga that night was to talk about observations they made of at Turangawaewae, either through footage or them actually being there. We talked about just little things around placement of people on the marae, and how the manuhiri move through, and why the wahine stand over there, the tāne stand over there, why the karanga is positioned here, why the whai kōrero start up here. So it was it was like a little tikanga wānanga.
Because everyone had a reason to be there, is it?
And that's what it was about. Nothing was out of place. Everything had a place, a time, and a position, and a duty. And it was just really cool to sort of pull back a bit and have a little wānanga with my students, because for a lot of them, this is all new. And probably for Aotearoa, it's a once-in-a-generation event.
Absolutely.
But to see it just roll through smoothly, no snags, no stress. Considering the weight of the hui, real stress-free, just letting it roll. Where there's standouts, I really love the interplay between the two whare ariki. So when tumu comes on at the head of the motu, then is welcomed on, one whare ariki to another, te whare ariki o Pōtatau to te whare ariki o te heuheu. These are rare moments, but if you understand the interplay and the history that sits behind it, you just realise that you're actually part of history. You're part of two whare ariki speaking to each other. So I really like those little moments. And of course they have rotating speakers, and the speakers are always the best from the crop of the amazing speakers that they have in both whare. So it was always cool. It's always cool to watch that little interplay. I think that part of the event, as opposed to a specific person, really stood in my mind. I thought, this is just way cool, because if you think about te hui tuatahi, nā hui tuatahi, I tutu ai te Kiingitanga, I wānanga nā whare ariki, ko nā whare ariki o te motu, I wānanga rātou ki a rātou, and this is part of a remnant of that history, but it's still held on by the sort of like the thinnest of cords, but you can feel that the responsibility it's bearing in terms of interaction and interplay between those two whare ariki is still alive. Just a connection to history, I think.
Connection to history.
I like to observe and just sit and listen, and just the different styles that people use when they whai kōrero, from the young generation to the old. But seeing all these young fellas getting up to whai kōrero there, awesome. Māoritanga is alive, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger with this ariki in there.
And because of the youthfulness that Kuini Nga hono I te pō brings with her, is there a sense that, I might be reaching here, but the pai might shift to reflect her as in our 30-year-old speakers, Pea? Maybe, or is that just, that's not going to happen? You've got your best speakers, obviously on the pai, but I don't know, could be a shifting of sorts.
Well, I'm sort of seeing a lot of young fellas coming through now, and the old people from the iwis have actually put them in place in those areas. I watched the young fella from Ngāti Pikiao. He was pretty good. The thing though, they dress nice for the occasion.
Those hutu, those suits.
If the kōrero's not too the kākahu, fuck, they don't just put anybody in those positions, especially at an event like that. You're
true.
Actually representing not only your iwi, your actual hapu and whānau, your marae. So it's beautiful to see all these young people coming up.
I saw Turangawaewae representing Tauranga Moana, So Good to see one.
Lucky he had his three-piece suit on. The chief.
Ooh, I can read.
Yeah, tino pai tira kōrero, because I te kōrero etahi o mātou, me te kite atu I te rātu āhuatanga o a tātou tamariki. Ka kōrero rangatahi, kei te kōrero ahau mō te 20 tau heke iho. Karei te kōrero ahau hei rangatahi. When I think of my observations on rangatahi, I think of our actual tamariki, our teens, our young adults, our tamariki, and it was sort of like the culture of the hui was to look good. And look good as Māori, and you know I'm not usually the person that takes in too much account aesthetics in what people are wearing. I'm more about a bit more of a substance. There you go, a little bit of a big ups for me, isn't it? But it was just a casual observation. Everyone looks good.
Oh, yeah.
They've
Stunning.
come dressed to the T's.
Absolutely.
And these are just our tamariki walking around. You know, if they're from Kura, they're in their number ones, and they look sharp and they look cool. If they're kaimahi, they still look tidy and they're presenting well. And I think that's that's a good note in terms of the turn of the culture and how Māori want to present themselves. Not all Māori, but you could definitely feel the culture shift there at that hui. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily that hui is the catalyst. I think it's been coming through, and it's part of the legacy also that Kiingitanga in his open-mindedness and his drive to see Māori develop is part of that legacy too. So you can feel the transition, you can feel the development also with the new reanga coming through. One thing I really like, and not just our ariki now, but also Kiingitanga is that open-mindedness. Kōrero mai a kehu mo te āhuatanga o nā kai kōrero, o nā kai karangairu I te marae. You know, these are things that when I was in my own early interests in te ao Māori, these were things you only heard about in history. You know, these animated speakers, these kuia wailing endlessly until the manuhiri came in. These are the only things you heard about. Because for probably the longest time, we drank someone else's orange juice and we behaved a different way. But now the thoughts are shifting in terms of who we are and how we express ourselves. There's an unapologeticness about who we are.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the kaupapa moving forward. We are Māori, and we will display how we want to be Māori. We will show the world how we want to be Māori. We won't be told how to be Māori. And I think that's a huge coup we could take out of that hui.
And speaking of fashion, Kuini Nga Waihono te po, and her kakahu, from her heels to the beautiful chiffon-looking white bow to the beautiful blue dress that she wore. Ooh, stunning.
Setting all types of standards.
We
Te
are
Arikinui
just...
mihi ana ki a koe.
Absolutely. And speaking of Kuini Nga Waihono I te po, ana I etahi o tōna kauhau. Let's have a listen to this. Of course, credit to the Kiingitanga for the audio.
Ki te poho tonu rā I urupā atu ai ana māharahara ta māhine katoa ki te pō. Te poho rā ia o taku pāpā. I aua o mangara, ahakoa pēhea nei te pirangi, te tohe, te inoi rānei, kia mutu te heke o roimata. Tōna au, he au waikato. Tōna puna, manawa whenua ake nei, manawa whenua ake nei, manawa whenua ake nei. Tētahi taumata o te mamae ko tērā.
Beautiful kauhau. I was listening to it, just having a little bit of a bit pouty, and it's actually the first time I've heard her voice, because she has been wahangu for the best part of 1 year. So, definitely, when I've seen her. So, what did you think of her kauhau, Ngairo?
Tāhua kua hoki mai te reo Māori, hei reo kōrero mo te Arikinui.
Ai.
Hara tēnei I te whakatake I tō tātou kiingi. I mōhio tō tātou kiingi ki te kōrero Māori. Tō tātou Arikinui nei, I tipu I roto I tērā ao ko te ao Māori hei tuara mōna, ko te reo Māori hei reo tuatahi mōna. Tino pai ki te toko maha kua hoki mai te reo Māori hei reo kawe I nā whakaaro te Arikinui. I kawea maroto I te reo Māori, puta reo Māori, puta whakaaro Māori, puta ao Māori, wana kōrero katoa. Miharo ana. Ka mutu, ka haere te kōrero katoa, ka huri mātou kia mātou, o mātou waku hoa I te taha. Ka ri kōrero Pākehā. Miharo, rawi.
Ka pai.
Me te aha, I mārama ki te katoa. Nā reira, tino mihi ana ki te āhuatanga kua pārā wera tō tātou reo, kua hoki ora mai tō tātou reo, ko te Arikinui te tauira. Te Arikinui te tauira. We don't need to encourage our kids anymore, they just watch the Ariki and they want to be like te Arikinui. It's mean.
Maumahara anau ki tētahi kōrero a mea whare hui e mea ne. Aha ko te mahi, aha ko te kaupapa, me Māori te ai tō ao. Ina koe nā te āhuatanga I puta mai a te Koroneihana, I te kaupau o tō tātou ariki, me haroro atu.
Ka pai. Just one last bit of coverage from the Koroneihana 2025.
Kei te moana nui a kiwa ngā whare ariki. A morangi tia ngā piki kō tuku. Tā pirihia ngā toki paunamu ngā kura Kōrero. Te tauihu a te waka ngā tirārua. Whariki tia ngō tātou koutou mate. Hei tangi mā tātou ko tahi te Kōrero. Hare ngā mate. Hariki te pū.
More kōrero coming up next. Let's take our paku whakatā. This is Paewhiri.
Pai tū, pai hinga, pai whiri.
Nau mai hoki mai e te whānau, ki tō tātou kaupapa ki Paewhiri. Nau mai hoki mai I te āhuatanga o nā kōrero I kōrero ai mātou, kia koutou e pāna ki te Koroneihana o tēnei tau, rua mano, e rua tekau mārima, I tū ki nā rua wāhia, ko te huri tau, tuatahi o tō tātou Arikinui Kuini Nga wai hono I te pō, ka hiri te ingoa o tō tātou Arikinui.
Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou e te whānau, katahi anō kua rongo tātou ki tērā paku oro, no te ara maurei, e tahi o nā coverage no te ara maurei te wā I haere tērā taonga. No,
Te prawa.
Ai, te prawa.
Kauwai prawa.
Kauwai prawa ki runga I a Turangawaewae. So some coverage there from one of the speakers. Aroha mai, kare au te tino mōhio.
O haki tuaupiki ki taku rongo.
Oh, true. How was, you went there on that particular day.
Ka, I only caught up with coverage on TV and online.
So te ara maurei came from whakatū, e te kanatera, from Ngāti Rārua, I think it was.
Te tauiho o te waka,
Te
nā
tauiho.
karangatanga iwi o te tauiho o te waka. And it was a standing request, I believe, from our former ariki. That was brought to fruition on that day. Just an amazing event within another amazing event. Miharo. Whakamiharo. How many of us in our lifetime could say we have ever seen a kauwai prawa? These are things that for the most of us just exist in kōrero.
Yeah.
But to see it brought on, and if you were there in person, to actually be that close to these sorts of taonga. Not everyone gets a chance at that. Not everyone gets to see te here mai I tēnei taonga. Not everyone. These are once in a lifetime events, and as I say, the event itself was history in the making.
And that's a whale jawbone, just clarity.
Sperm whale.
Sperm whale jawbone. The ceremony, the rituals, the visitors, the manuhiri from our Pacifica whānau was amazing. My favourite part was watching the kapahakas and this waiata, I think it's from the 90s. Let's have a listen to this. Oh, don't you just love te wakahuia? Oh, and the fluorescent purple and green jackets, just love it. Kapahaka during the Koroneihana, what were your observations, Ngairo? Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was like kapahaka on steroids again. I thought I had retired it for another 2 years, but no.
The
iwi was playing up. It's funny you picked that waiata because
I love it.
As good as it was out on, in the concert, to see it just busted out on the marae, the whole marae got up. And it really shows you how well that waiata resounds intergenerationally because there were mokopuna, there were tamariki, there were rangatahi, there were pakeke, kaumātua, all singing when the actual kapa
Because
came
they were
on
in a
to
circle,
perform.
I could see
Aye.
people forming in the front of the Queenie, but then I looked over and people had almost kind of performed it to everyone.
I think so. They weren't looking at backs because most of
True,
the
true.
whānau were at the back,
Yep.
behind the maha or behind the piruru. So,
Beautiful.
You know, those inclusive little tweaks that we make, just massive. You had to be there. It's very hard to
I know.
describe.
I was seriously getting FOMO, man, when I was watching all the coverage. But that is our Koroneihana show e te whānau. A few glimpses in there. Thank you very much to Kiingitanga for the audio that you've heard in this week's episode. I nai nei, let's go to...
Whaino whakaro.
Pai tū, pai hinga, pai whiri.
I just want to say, my final whakaro, Kuini Nga wai hono i te pō, energy, exuberance, ātāhua, her fashion was on point. Yeah, that's what I took away. That's what I took away from the Koroneihana. Not very deep, but oh well. Bit shallow.
Hoki ana ki tētahi o nā ohaki kingitu heitia. Ka mea ke ia ki te iwi. E te iwi kia Māori tātou i te ao i te pō. I think he putanga tira I roto I te Koroneihana I tēnei tau. So one of the final words of our king was to encourage everyone that the best thing you can be is Māori. And if you understand the phrase, he wasn't just speaking to Māori, he was speaking to everyone. Being Māori is just be who you are and be the best that you can, who you are as a person. Whether you're Māori, non-Māori, tangata tiriti, āhia, no te moana nui a kiwa Afrika, kei te pai. His message was for everyone. I think Koroneihana really showed me, in my experiences there, I guess that whole ohaki brought to life. Everyone just being the best they could be.
Tēnā. Ki tāku nei titiro, ko whakatūwherahi ai te kuha, te tika, te pono, te māramatanga, me te oranga mō tātou te iwi Māori.
This fella goes to Aussie, comes back,
I know. He's
just does a bit of a mic drop. Can you go further next time?
reckon.
Drop 2 mics.
Right, okay. That is us for another episode.
Tino pai, whakairi hea, nā mihi nunui roroa ki runga ki tō tātou Arikinui. E tangi taurere ana ki a koe e te kuini nā wai hono I te pō. I tō mana, I tō ihi, I tō tapu nō tua whakarere, e ke mai whakatinana hi ana I roto I a koe. Ko te au o mihi ki a koe, ko te au o mihi ki runga ki tō whānau. Ko te au o mihi anō hoki ki a tātou e whakarongo nei ki tēnei pāpāho tanga o tātou. Ko te tapu a tātou mahi, ka whakairihia ki te pātu o tō tātou whare, tūturu e rongo whakamaua kia tīna.
Tīna.
Hui e.
Tai kie.
Pai tū, pai hinga, pai kare, pai whiri.